Welcome to the JCPod. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell. Hey, man, we're through 3 weeks of football. 4 if you count college. I mean, it's been a wild ride so far. We got some interesting matchups, interesting games. We had a 70 bomb drop this weekend. The Bears stink. The Colorado got slaughtered. I mean, there's a lot of different storylines we can go through. A lot of fun action this week. We're basically going to go through. We're going to go through the NFL news. I'll break down the NFL games while going through some of the NFL news. Then we basically got a little bit of college action to go over. Pickem wise, I'll officially fully go over that Thursday, but to kind of sum up Pickem right now, I've lost by 16. More towards the bottom, but for the season, we aren't doing too bad. I'll show that at the end briefly, but yeah, for the most part this week, we're just going to recap some of the games, recap some of the big storylines heading into this next week now. But we'll probably start. Should we start with the blowout? I usually like to go in chronological order, so I guess we'll do that, honestly. So we'll go back to Thursday night game. The 49ers steamrolled the Giants 30-12. I mean, the only reason I say steamroll is it really wasn't a close game. Matt Breida got a rushing touchdown in the third quarter, but that was basically off, I forget what exactly happened, but they got gifted. I can't remember if it's a fumble or something like that, but they were gifted, really, really good field position, and they basically took advantage of it. Past that, I mean, 49ers controlled that game. Christian McCaffrey had another touchdown. He had a big day. Deebo Samuel had a really big day as well for them. Both of them, fantasy-wise, scored over in the 20s. I mean, it was just basically another day at the office for the 49ers. The Giants now, I think, are 0-3, 1-2. Really scary start to the season for them, though. They played some really bad football. I know 49ers defense is good, but they have not been playing the best of football, and it's been, especially after what we saw last year, we thought everyone would take, especially me, I thought they would take a step up, but they have not yet, and that's where they're stuck at now. So next we'll go to so that was the Thursday night game. We'll move on to Sunday now. I'll talk about the two blowouts real quick because we don't need to talk about them too much. The one that matters the least, Bears-Chiefs. I think we all kind of expected the Chiefs to win big. Awesome news. Taylor Swift was at the game. I know everybody else has been talking about it. But yeah, like I said, Chiefs won 41-10. Taylor Swift was at the game. So her and Kelsey might be official. Pretty funny. It sounds like, due to some sources I heard, that we might see her at the next game. It's in New York. I believe that's her hometown or where she's living. Not hometown, but where she's living right now. And yeah, Chiefs play Sunday night. Wouldn't be shocked if we see it there. Good move for the NFL. To have her right now because obviously I know the NFL didn't do this, but it was a little bit of Travis Kelce. But hey, we're gonna get more eyes on the game now, which is really awesome. But at the end of the day, man, Chiefs just absolutely rolled the Bears. I mean, Bears look bad. They had the number one pick last year for a reason, and they might be worse. I hate to say it. They might be worse. Matt Eberflus, one of 8 coaches to lose 13. I don't know if it's his first 13 games or 13 games in a row. But there's some stat about Matt Eberflus in 13 games in a row. It was not good. Bears have lost 13 in a row. They just look, I don't want to say they look lost, but I don't know what, their franchise is just, man, I lived with Bear fans for about, I'm going to already went on too long in this game, so let's speed up real quick. I lived with Bear fans for 4 years when I was in Chicago for school, and man, I was a Colts fan during those times, so it wasn't the best either. It went downhill each year, but man, bro, we're better than the Bears every year. Man, Bears just have it rough, honestly. I feel bad for their fan base and everything, and yeah, just truly sucks. Another blowout. The Dolphins hang 10 touchdowns on the Broncos, win 70-20. Decide not to kick the field goal to go for the record to show some sportsmanship, but man, boy, I mean, the Dolphins boat raced the Broncos. I mean, that was basically, I think, 43-13 at one point. They scored 14-21, 14-21. That's what the Dolphins scored each quarter. Raheem Mostert, 4 touchdowns. Devon Achane, 4 touchdowns. I don't know how to say his name. There's rumors coming out that's I don't even know how to say it. We're just going to say Achane until I hear another version of it right. So, yeah, shout out to the Dolphins and Chiefs, man. 2 really big weeks. The Dolphins are just rolling, man. They are, I think, 10-1 for Super Bowl favorites right now, which I understand because of Tua's health. But I'm probably going to sprinkle on that just because, man, they look impressive. And it's like they've gotten off to such a good start to the season. Even if it loses, I wouldn't be mad if it loses because they should not be 10-1 for Super Bowl favorites with how good that team is playing right now. But now we'll move on to the Panthers-Seahawks. Seahawks win 37-27. They were up kind of around 10 the whole game, especially in the fourth quarter. It was basically 29-20 for a bit. And then boom, boom, they score twice, or I guess once in this case. Panthers scored once. Adam Thielen had a day. Andy Dalton didn't look terrible. I don't know what to expect from this Panthers team. Seahawks finally looked impressive. Geno Smith looked a lot better. And it was just, I didn't take away too much from this game. The Panthers aren't the best. So it's going to be a long year for them. I won't lie, I don't have faith in Frank Reich as a coach. As a guy, I'm sure he's a great guy. But as a coach, what I saw with the Colts somehow went downhill. I know it's not all on him, but him being the head coach. The Colts went downhill for basically the 3 or 4 years after the first year he got him. He had his quarterback in almost every single time. It was his guy and not the quarterback guru, as people are saying. And Colts went downhill every time. They ended up with him firing, and now he's going to Carolina, and everyone thinks he's going to be a lot better, and they think it was the Colts. I don't know, man. Like I said, Andy Dalton didn't have the worst of games, but I just don't know what this Carolina team. Meanwhile, Seattle gets back on track. They're now 2-1. They play the Giants next week. Big game on Monday night. Panthers are 0-3 right now. They're playing the Vikings. I don't know when they're going to get their first win, but could be against the Vikings. Vikings are, man, bro, that's a sad. I can't wait to talk about that game. That game pretty pissed me. I bet on the Vikings. I shouldn't have if I knew better not to, and I still did. We'll talk about it in a minute, though. I'm unreal the Vikings lose that game. Honestly, we'll just go to the game right now. Vikings-Chargers. Chargers win 28-24. 4th and 1 on their own, 33. They go for it, don't get it. Horrible play call. I don't mind them going for it, but horrible play call. 9 people in the middle, and they run a fullback dive instead of, which takes time to develop. It takes one Mississippi, basically 1.5 to 2 seconds to develop because Herbert has to turn around, hand the ball. Fullback has to get it, find a hole. There's a lot of development there. They should have just done a QB sneak. Herbert's 6'5", 230. I don't know why they don't do the QB sneak like every other coach does. Or not every other coach, but a lot of other teams do, who have a quarterback who can do it like that. But I don't know. The biggest question I have for this game is how the hell does Brandon Staley has a job? For Hot Seat Coach of the Week, man, it's between him or Ron Rivera right now. But so I'm gonna put the crown on both their heads this week. Staley would have been solo if they lost, but because they won and the Commanders got killed, I'm gonna give it to Ron Rivera and him. But man, 4th and 1, fullback dive. Like I said, they don't get it. Minnesota basically has a minute 20 about from their 30-yard line to score. You would think it's game over. I won't lie. I even sprinkled a little bit more on the Vikings. I'm like, oh, okay. Kirk Cousins should be able to manage this. They should be able to get game over. Horrible clock management by them. They kind of panic once they get close to the goal line, let about 13 seconds run off. And then he throws a pick. I know it's a little bit behind. It gets deflected. It's an interception. And then the Vikings lose. Now they're 0-3. That game was wild, man. It was a really awesome back and forth. Apparently, there's an 88% chance that the Chargers win the game if they went for it. There's an 80% chance they win if they punted it. I don't know why they just don't punt in that situation. I guess they just didn't trust. If you trust the defense to cover 30 yards, I don't understand why he doesn't trust the defense to cover 76 yards. But like I said, the Chargers won, so I can't question it too much. I didn't like the play call on 4th and 1. It just felt weird. And if they lose, there's a chance Staley, even with the win, I don't know how safe he is. His analytical stuff is gonna get that team burnt. And it has. Don't get me wrong. I understand he came out I trust the defense, I trust you that, but man. Trust the defense or not, you're professionals playing against professionals, and you gave them 30 yards to drive with Kirk Cousins, who was the number 1 quarterback in fantasy, so he's been slinging it this year so far. This truly just seems like one of those situations where if Staley has a chance to go for it, he's probably going to go for it if he likes the situation, no matter where they're at in the field. And it's just you would think that it's like they say I know they say you can teach an old dog new tricks, but hey, sometimes that dog is set in his ways. It seems like Staley's kind of setting his ways a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, though, good win for the Chargers. Big win for the Chargers, who they were trying to avoid 1-3. Now they go to the Raiders. They have a chance to bounce back next week. But, there's a chance that... I don't know, man. There's a chance that we could see Staley gone by the end of the year. So I just don't know. The time management from the Chargers is still meh. Another shocking game. By the way, some of these are going to bounce around. I have the night game on my sheet up next, and just stuff like that. So there's going to be a little bit of bouncing around from the slate. Buffalo Bills absolutely slaughtered the Commanders 37-7. That's why I said Riverboat Ron earned himself the hot seat coach. I know he just got his 100th win last week, but I don't know. I just don't I know this all isn't on him, the coaching. I'm not blaming all the coaching and stuff on him, but I know Howell had 4 interceptions as well. Knowing Ron Rivera, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up benching Howell here soon for Jacoby Brissett, because he just, when it comes to him and quarterbacks, man, he does not give any leeway at all. He basically, especially for the younger ones, like you mess up like once or twice, he's like, all right, let's go to the veteran. And it's just, like I said, he's basically like a zombie on the sideline sometimes. I've mentioned that before. I just don't know how he's still the coach of their team. But like I said, that's not the point of this. The point of this is shout out the Bills for, after they lost the weird game to the Jets, have been just a wagon. They've won 2 absolutely wonderful games. And now next week they play the Miami Dolphins. Hey, now, I'm really excited for that game. The Dolphins game, that's going to be really, really awesome. But like I said, Commanders, the me and Ron Rivera experiment so far has not been the best. They've had some interesting games. I think they're 1-2 right now. Or sorry, they're 2-1. I mean, I still stand by what I said about Ron Rivera, because they beat the Cardinals, beat the Broncos, barely beat both those teams, who now that I'll give them credit for the Cardinals one now. Now that we'll talk about that in a second. But that Broncos one, barely beating the Broncos, that's kind of scary. Next week they play the Eagles. Eagles, Bears, Falcons, Giants, Eagles are their next few weeks. They got some tough matchups, so we'll see what this team does. I like it. I don't know if Ron Rivera's going to get fired now, but he could potentially in a few weeks. But at the same time, I don't know. I think they might end up just keeping him. They kind of seem like a team that's kind of set in their ways for the season. We'll see. I don't know what to expect from that team when it comes to like that part of the game. Cowboys, Cardinals. How about them Cowboys, man? Looked awful. One of the biggest things I've noticed is whenever they needed to get a receiver open on a 3rd down, or they needed a big play from a receiver, they just didn't get it. And that's a little bit of the players they have. That's a little bit of the play calling. Dak had a horrible red zone interception. I think they were like 0-5 in the red zone, potentially even. It was a bad game for the Cowboys. They played just about as bad as they could. Offensively, defensively, I mean, they let the Cardinals score 28 points on them. Cardinals are like a little flirty team now. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, their issue has been they haven't played a full game. They played a full game this Sunday. I mean, they look truly impressive against the Cowboys. I can't believe the Cowboys lost, man. This game for the Cardinals, I know this could be nothing towards the bigger picture. They just laid down an egg against a team that the Cardinals have owned the number. The Cardinals have won 6 of 7. I totally forgot about that. When I was talking about it Thursday, that the Cardinals had just had their number, and they continue to have it. But the biggest thing I'm learning from this game is, like I said, when they needed a receiver to get open, if it wasn't CD, it was scary hours. And that's going to be something that's going to come really big against like teams like the Eagles, teams like the Bills if they play them, just like the better teams who can actually have a good defense. If they shut down CeeDee Lamb and they need some big pass catchers, I mean, they got rid of Dalton Schultz. Zeke, even though Zeke was a little older, he was still like a good check down guy. I'm not saying anything against Tony Pollard, but it's one of those situations like this Cowboys team could get scary here soon because they got rid of a few of their guys that they really needed. It shows that they really needed them now, honestly. I mean, truly. They would have benefited a lot from having a Dalton Schultz to throw the ball to and Amari Cooper to throw the ball to. I still can't believe they got rid of Amari Cooper. This is like 2 or 3 years now, and I still don't get that move. I get they wanted to make CD the number 1, but they could have made him the number 1. I don't know. This was a bad loss for the Cowboys. Hopefully they can bounce back next week. Next week they play the Patriots. Nice little spot for them. Next week the Cardinals play the 49ers. 14-point dogs. Woo! Shout out Cardinals, though. That's a big one, man. By the way, I understand I'm probably missing some NFL news, like player injuries and all that. I'm going to save that for the very end. I just want to talk about the games themselves. And then, like I said, when I burn through the NFL news, I'll get over some of the injuries because there's a good amount of injuries this weekend. I don't, like Derek Carr and his AC joint, stuff like that. Like, I will get to that a little bit later if I miss it because I know there's probably some I did miss. I'm trying to, like, when I'm trying to think of the game, I'm trying to, like, go back in my mind and kind of remember, like, all right, what did I watch? What did I see? And, like I said, I might go over some injuries. I'll try to add those in at the end, so we just don't miss them. Like Colts, for example, no AR this game. They win 22-19. Gardner Minshew's pulled Orlovsky, stepped on the back of the end zone. Colts still come back to win the fourth overtime. Matt Gay, baby. I won't lie to you, I almost just put Matt Gay's name on the scroll bar just solely by himself. Like, it would have been NFL Week 3 reactions, college Week 4 reactions. I have that spacer. It literally would have just said Matt Gay, and that would have been it. 4 field goals to 50 yards plus, NFL record, one of them being the game winner. I mean, Matt Gay, like, I don't want to say he single-handedly won the game, but he scored 12 in their 19. He was very, very effective because it felt like the second the Colts basically got over midfield, the drive started to sputter and fall out, so then they would need Matt Gay to kick a 50-yard field goal, and he was able to do that. I'm very proud of this Colts team. They were definitely opportunistic. They took advantage of every situation they needed to make, and this is a fun team to watch, man. I tell you what, Shane Steichen. Say what you want about Frank Reich and how good of a coach he is and whatnot. I love Shane Steichen already over him. Like I said, I have no beef with Frank Reich in general. He's the coach that didn't coach the best for the Colts. I'm not gonna call and get his house swatted or anything, but man, it was pretty frustrating to root for him, and it's already like early on in this Shane Steichen era. It's like I'm already impressed. I know this can change like 2 or 3 years potentially, but this is one of those things. Like even when the Colts hired Frank Reich, like it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, that's not terrible. He's from the Eagles. Let's see how he does. First season went really, really well, and by this basically like halfway through the second season, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. And the third season, I was basically out, and I can't remember if he even made a fourth season or not. Shane Steichen feels like one of those guys that he feels like a good NFL coach. The play calling hasn't been too bad for the Colts. They just need to keep AR healthy. If AR can get healthy, this is a team that can be flirty, can be fun. I mean, this is a really good team. I wrote an article about it on Stare Down Sports. Shout out Stare Down Sports about how 17 minutes in, I keep forgetting to announce at the beginning of the show. I wrote an article about how the Colts have one of the best linebacker units in the NFL, and that wasn't me being a bias. They truly have one of the best. Zaire Franklin, EJ Speed, Darius Leonard are really, really good linebackers. They played really well. The Colts have a really good front, and with DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Kwity Paye, I could continue naming names. Like they got a really good front. Ravens didn't play the best. They were affected a little bit. Lamar got turned over 2 or 3 times. This was a really good game for the Colts. I was really proud. And also, shout out Zach Moss. I've come on this show and said a few things about him that I've had years of anguish with. That game earned me back a little bit. I'm happy. Very happy with what I've seen out of Zach Moss. I really do appreciate him now. I've come back around and started to appreciate him a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more, though. I've seen a few full seasons of him. But regardless, Zach Moss had a really good game. Rushed for over 100 yards on 30 carries. I thought he had a touchdown. He had an awesome catch. It might have been a receiving touchdown. It was a receiving touchdown for Zach Moss. Like I said, Colts had a really, really awesome game. They're able to win. They're 2-1, leading the division now. Hey, now. How about them Colts, baby? Basically, what we learned from this week so far, the Souths are going to be competitive, man. Like, the NFC South is going to be a fun one. The AFC South is going to be a fun one. I think those divisions are wide open, especially with the Carr injury to the Saints. So I'm going to be excited to watch more of that. Sunday night, Steelers, Raiders. Devontae Adams had a day. The first quarter had 2 explosive shots, which was really, really cool. A 32-yard touchdown, 72-yard touchdown. And there was a lot of Pittsburgh after that. And then fourth quarter, they basically climbed back a little bit. The biggest thing for this game is the Raiders kicked a field goal with down 8 or whatever. And it's one of those situations where if they get the ball back and score, McDaniels looks like a genius. They don't, so he looks like a goof. By the way, for hot seat coach, we might have a 3-way tie, man. I'm going to put McDaniels on here. I totally forgot about... I got a 3-way tie between, I guess, like, if I had to kick somebody out, it'd be Riverboat Ron. But, yeah, Staley, right now, McDaniels put himself in the conversation. I know, like I said, I understand, like, if they make the field goal and then they go down and score a touchdown, they win. But the way they were playing that night, to kick the field goal there, I don't know. I feel like you probably want to score the touchdown first, especially against the Steelers defense that basically held you scoreless after the first quarter until the fourth quarter. I don't know. That was definitely a coaching situation I was kind of shocked to see. I personally didn't make it through all the game. I fell asleep, I think, about second half-ish. Or like a little bit after second half. It's about around after Freiermuth scored his touchdowns, about when I passed out. So I missed the end of the game. I was able to watch some of the recap, though. And yeah, I don't know, man. This Raiders team, it seems like it's going to be one of those teams where McDaniels, they just need to get, I think, potentially, like, once he moves, it's going to be a situation once he moves on. We'll see how they are. I think it's safe to say now the McDaniels era in Las Vegas has been not the best. I mean, I'm shocked Devontae Adams is still there, for being real. I thought he'd want out by now, truly. They just haven't done much for him. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked he still wants to be there and do stuff, but hey, I respect him for it. But man, I thought poor Devontae Adams, man, truly. Same with Jacobs, man. Man, that really sucks. Next game, Saints-Packers, like I said. Packers had a lot of guys missing. Saints end up losing Carr after Rashawn Gary sacks him. He ends up hurting his AC joint. I thought it was a collarbone. A lot of people in the media were saying, he broke his collarbone. So there's a lot of rumors about that, but thankfully it's just an AC joint sprain, so we don't know how long we'll see him. But second Jameis came in. That offense basically, it was 17-0. Offense basically stalled. Carr goes out. Green Bay Packers end up coming back. They score a touchdown. They go for 2 and make it. Jordan Love. Hey. Round of applause for Jordan Love, man. That was his statement game so far this year. That was a game where he took over in the second half. I mean, he willed that team to win. That was really, really awesome. I was really happy to watch that. They gave me a little bit of hope for the Packers. Like, oh, okay, so hey, these boys can really ball a little bit. I mean, truly, I'm really excited for Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love now. I mean, for that one game after I saw, it was a bad game for the majority of the game, and he was able to make some stuff happen. I'm excited to see how that team looks when they get healthier and then they get better. Romeo Doubs is a guy. He's really fun to watch. Yeah, and just for the Saints fan, that's a really tough loss. They were up 17-0. Take a field goal all the way down to potentially have a 45-yarder for the win, and Groupie just misses it to the right, pushes it all the way to the right. Sucks, man. There's a young kicker. He'll learn from that. I think he'll get better from that. Groupie's been really, really impressive. But, yeah, it's one of those things where now the Packers are either won their last 10 or won their last 11 home games, or home openers, sorry. So, I mean, it was just really, really impressive game by them. Shout out the Packers. Saints looked really good as well until the last moments, really, and now it makes me wonder what's going to happen with them with Carr out. Because I don't know if Jameis Winston's an upgrade necessarily at quarterback. I think if they want an upgrade at quarterback, they would have to go potentially outside the building. Because I won't lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Carr, what I've seen so far this year. Not the biggest fan of him. Same with Jameis. Jameis didn't have a bad game, but I wasn't the biggest fan of what I saw from him. But yeah, again, just basically shout out Packers, shout out Saints. That's a really fun football game, man. Next week now, the Saints have a tough matchup next week, I believe. They take on the Bucks, so that's going to be a tough division matchup. And the Packers take on the Lions Thursday Night Football, so that's going to be a good one. Next game, Falcons-Lions. Like I said, the biggest thing I learned from this game is the Falcons are going to have some issues at quarterback. Lions defense really impressed me. I said that was the thing I thought the Falcons would be able to take advantage of. And hey, they shut down the run. They said, you're going to be throwing this ball, Desmond Ridder, and Desmond Ridder couldn't throw the ball too well. That's my biggest thing. I don't know how to evaluate Desmond Ridder. I truly don't. I just have no clue. I won't lie. That's probably going to burn me leave for this game. I have no idea how to evaluate Desmond Ridder. Falcons take a bad loss. They're still 2-1, but that would have been a big game to steal. Now they're going to go take on the Jags in London next week for hopefully a bounce back. But speaking of bounce back, the Jags need one too. We'll talk about that in a minute because my lord, did they get boat race. Shout out Lions. A really impressive game by the Lions. They looked a lot better than I thought they would, especially defensively. So I'm very, very impressed and intrigued with what I saw with them. Cleveland Browns Titans, another game I'm impressed with. Shout out the Browns, man. Held the Titans, I think, 94 total offensive yards. You want to talk about another quarterback that just doesn't got it. It's Ryan Tannehill, man. Derrick Henry's getting like no snaps either. I picked the Titans to win the division this year. I don't know about that anymore. I still will stand by it, but I don't know what this team is, man. It almost looks like the old Titans are getting phased out for the new ones. Tannehill looks awful. Derrick Henry sharing snaps. DeAndre Hopkins, I don't ever see, like, if I'm watching Red Zone, I don't see highlights of him as often. I see, like, one catch a game, and it's like, oh, hey, they're still down 14. I wish he would do a little bit more. I don't know what to expect from this team now at this point. They've put up a few stinkers now, and putting up only 3 points, that's horrendous. This was after they had, I think, two, and this is after they barely lost to the Saints week 1, and then they barely lost to they barely beat the Chargers week 2. I don't know how to evaluate this team now. Honestly, I'm to the point I don't know how to evaluate this team. So we're gonna move on throughout the weeks. I just know they aren't the same Titans they've been for the last few years, so they got to earn that back with me. Texans Jaguars. Texans, baby, beat the Jaguars 37-17. Apparently Doug Peterson took over play call in the second half, looked a lot better, so that's the big thing to keep an eye on. Seems like they're going to have a new play call going in the next week, potentially, so I'm excited to see Doug Peterson versus Artie Smith. But, man, bro, C.J. Stroud looks kind of like a guy, huh? Apparently, he's in the top 5 for, I think, either most passing yards in the first 3 starts with, like, Andrew Luck, Jameis Winston. He's with a lot of good names. I know I said Jameis Winston, but people forget Jameis Winston was actually good at one point. Maybe not the best, but he was decent. But yeah, the Texans won 37-17. Jaguars basically just get flattened at home. This is a big week for survivor pools. If you're one of those people like me who put your survivor pool in the Chiefs, then you got to watch the Jaguars, Cowboys, and Ravens, and then one other team. There's another team that broke a lot of people's heart this weekend. That was an impressive one, I would say. I just didn't expect. Texans almost put up 40 on the Jags in Jacksonville. I'm impressed by the Texans. I think they're a lot more flirty than a lot of other people think. I mean, I won't lie. When I saw my survivor pool, 18% were on the Jags, I was shocked. I thought the Jags would win. But it's a division game. The Texans play the Jags tough, and they play them tough again and win, man. This Texans team is going to be a little bit flirty this year. I think them and the Cardinals, while both of them might not make a lot of wins this year, they actually look really impressive. Like, there's a tier system. Broncos and Bears might be here. Broncos, I'd potentially put it in the next category as well, but Broncos, Bears might be here, and then it's Texans, Cardinals. Like, in the pile of dirt, I mean, they're a step above, I think, those two teams potentially. I'm very impressed. I was very impressed with what I saw with the Texans. And I'm impressed with D'Amico Ryan. Shout out that boy. Patriots beat the Jets 15-10. Not too much to talk about here. 15 straight wins for the Patriots over New York. That was one of the game New York felt like they probably should have won. I just don't know how to evaluate Zach Wilson either. He looks awful at one point. Then the next point, he makes like 4 or 5 really good throws. It's like, why haven't you been doing this all game? I don't know if it's a play calling. I don't know if it's him. I don't know what it is. But shout out the Patriots for being able to win this game. Mac Jones, get a little nut tap to Sauce Gardner as well. And he has a thing. I don't want to be that guy, but he has a thing with touching people in their balls, man. Mac Jones is getting a little bit of a dirt, like on a real level, he is getting some dirt thrown on his name about being a dirty player, just because now he's starting to get a little bit of a history of, like, he kicked Daquan Brisker in the balls, nut tapped to Sauce Gardner on a return where the defender had no chance, or on a play where basically Mac Jones had no chance of doing anything. He just dove at a random defender's knees. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of weird stuff going on around with him. I don't know how to evaluate him as a quarterback. I feel like there's a lot of times to look up and he's 15 for 29 for 200 yards. I don't know. I just feel like they could have been, like, I don't know how to evaluate Mac Jones. I mean, I'm glad shout out for the Patriots for winning. I just don't know how to evaluate them and their quarterback. Next week they take on the Cowboys. That's going to be even harder to evaluate because I just don't know for that game. And then the Jets take on the Chiefs for Sunday night, which would have been an awesome Sunday night football matchup, assuming Aaron Rodgers was healthy. Man, that's going to be a rough one. That could be as ugly as the Bears game got. But I think the Jets defense is slightly better. So that should be the Jets defense versus Patrick Mahomes should be a fun little matchup. Hopefully Quentin Williams is healthy. I saw him leave the game, and I didn't know if he came back or not. But yeah, that about does it for Sunday. So Chiefs get a big win. Dolphins get a big win. Patriots get a win. Texans get a big win. Browns get a big win. I think the Browns are 3-0. If they're not, they're 2-1. 2-1 Browns, man. Let's go. Lions get a big win. Packers steal a win from the Saints. Bills blow out the Commanders. Chargers beat the Vikings by 4. Steelers get a win on Sunday night. Cardinals shock the Cowboys. Seahawks beat the Panthers. Colts kind of shocked the Ravens being 7-point dogs, and the 49ers handle business. That leaves us to Monday Night Football. The games happened last night. We'll go Eagles Bucks. His score is kind of deceiving. The Bucks scored with 9 minutes left, but they basically had one good drive to drive down the field all game. Other than that, basically, they had a field goal earlier in the game. They ended up getting tackled for safety after an amazing interception by their DB. The Eagles just controlled the game, I'll be honest. Jalen Hurts had two or three bad throws that I thought. I was really upset that A.J. Brown didn't get in, personally, for my bets. I wanted him so bad. I wanted it so bad, man. I wanted it so bad for him to score, but he ended up not being able to make it. But the Eagles were able to handle business. Everybody's going to handle business. Jalen Hurts had a decent game. He scored a rushing touchdown. He had a nice ball to Zacchaeus for a touchdown. It was just Eagles basically controlled the whole game. The Bucs had no chance of really winning. And then to say we'll go to the Bengals. Yeah, that's basically, I don't got much from that game. It was just one of those games where if the Buccaneers don't score that touchdown with 9 minutes left, it's a blowout. Since they did score, it doesn't seem that bad. But it was just an impressive game by the Eagles, who take on the Commanders next week at home. That's going to be a fun little watch. And then last game, the Bengals-Rams, man. Shout out. I was on the Rams +3 originally. Shout out the push. Assuming Joe Burrow wasn't going to play. The second Joe Burrow plays, I was able to live bet the Bengals at a good number. But man, shout out, bro. That was a really awesome, fun game to watch. This was a good football game. It has field goals to start, then the field goals. Joe Mixon ends up getting a rushing touchdown. And then the Rams were 0-10 on third down basically until very late in the fourth quarter. Then they end up scoring a touchdown with about a minute left. It was one of those games where the Rams just did not look very good offensively as well. They got shut down by the Bengals defense, who I don't know if it's, I want to give props to the Bengals defense or if I want to say the Rams offense looked bad. But honestly, Lou Anarumo coached an amazing game. It felt like on all those third downs, Trey Hendrickson was just. They got to a point too where the Rams lost their tackle. Trey Hendrickson was just owning that tackle basically all game. So it was really impressive win by the Bengals, who needed that win really, really bad. Now both teams are 1-2, but Bengals could not afford the loss. The Bengals play the Titans next week, so that's a really good chance for them to try to go to 2-2. But yeah, shout out the Monday night doubleheaders. We had back-to-back Monday night doubleheaders. I don't know how I feel about it. I won't lie. I don't mind having 2 games of football, and I love watching as much football as I can. But I wish they would stagger them a little bit time-wise. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the NFL scores. We're gonna burn through some news real quick. But by the way, Zach Wilson's getting hella heat from everybody still about how bad he played. It seems like there's a lot of people saying New England finally broke the Jets with that game, and now it's like, I don't know. I just don't. It's one of those situations, like, I seriously, truly can't tell if the play calling is helping out Zach Wilson or if he's just truly like that buns. Because that's a guy it seems like he's playing scared out there. He's scared to turn it over, scared to do anything. He just needs to quit playing scared. I think that's what's really killing him, honestly. He's just playing way too scared. He kind of needs to play cut loose, but I don't know if New York's broke him or not at this point. There's a good chance he's been just broke by New York at this point, but I don't know. I just really, I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo's in a concussion protocol after the loss last night. Man, this is sad. Shout out Mike Williams, man. Tore his ACL, done for the season. He's just one of those receivers, man. I feel so bad, man. He always is just. I don't want to say he's always hurt, but I just feel like he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's just one of those unlucky players that's just been hurt a lot. I mean, with how strong, powerful, and explosive he is, it makes sense. I mean, he has. I don't know how tall he is. I'm just gonna guess he's like 6'3", 6'5", like around 200 pounds. I mean, that's a big dude. Big dude running routes out there. It's really sad, man. Chargers were looking good with him, both him and Keenan Allen out there. Just, man, that's a guy that you just don't want to lose. Man, that just seriously sucks. He ended up tearing his ACL. J.C. Jackson apparently has a warrant issued for his arrest because he didn't show up to a court hearing. From 2 years ago. I don't know what's going on with that, but this is some big news. Kevin O'Connell said players will be benched if they turn over the ball. The Vikings already have 7 fumbles this year. They're 0-3 in one-score games. They were 11-1 or 11-2 last year. But, I mean, he has it right. They have 9 turnovers for the first 3 games. Alexander Madison's been the big guy who struggled with ball security. Kirk Cousins, as well as has 2 interceptions. And don't forget, this is Kirk Cousins basically like last year. It's kind of like a prove-it year, but with the start they had, I doubt he continues to be a Minnesota Viking. I don't know if they'll get bench him in the middle of the year. I don't know if they'll get rid of him in the middle of the year, but I just don't know what to expect. It's just, yeah, that team being 0-3. It's usually when you start 0-3, you don't make the playoffs. So they're going to need a big, big turnaround to make the playoffs now. The Saints, like I said, Carr's week to week now with an AC joint sprain, avoided a major injury. Jamal Adams is set to return on Monday Night Football against the Giants for the Seahawks. Last year, he tore his quad first week he's been out. He's been dealing with a bit of an injury the last few years. Peyton says he's going to get the ship straightened out. I mean, it shouldn't be hard after last week. I mean, he can't do any worse than last week, honestly. So Adams is frustrated. He said, "I don't got time to wait around," when he talked about the Monday night loss. So that's what I was mentioning. I just don't know how much longer Devontae Adams can take it before he just ends up just leaving. Man, I feel bad. I feel a little bit bad for him, man. He went to a spot to play with Carr, and then all of a sudden everything just imploded down there. It was a rough little spot for him. Andy Reid is 4th in the all-time wins list with 271. Shout out to Andy Reid, man. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL, one of the best coaches of all time. Love it. Shout out Big Red. I just said, I ain't got much. I mean, shout out Big Red, man. He's been really good. There's just, by the way, there's a lot of, just overall the NFL. I'm very excited. It feels so right to have it back. Let's be honest. It just feels so right. I mean, it felt weird just to have all the off season and everything. By the way, for those people who care, the playoffs are about a week away. I know I'm in the middle. I know I know nobody's talking about baseball. Baseball playoffs are a little bit away if you care about that. That should be fun. I'll probably right before I go back to this news, I'll probably talk about baseball a little bit, at least name playoffs teams and shout that out a little bit. Because I am a sports show at the end of the day. I know it's a lot of football, mainly football, but baseball's still around too. I got to show it a little love. Chubb tore only his MCL, which is huge. He has a chance to maybe come back and play. So now that the injury isn't considered career-ending, that's really awesome. And Chubb's a great guy for football. Curtis Granderson, he striked a 4-year extension worth $52 million. Shout out to the Saints. Really awesome. They got one of their guys paid. Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL. I talked about it a little bit Friday. Thursday. That's just, man, that is heartbreaking, honestly. And I think that, honestly, is we're going to do it. I think other than that, there's not a lot of big news. I think, like I said, Derek Stingley for the Texans is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. That's something else I forgot to add on. That's about it. Trent Williams threw a closed fist on Thursday night. They really didn't do anything about it. I haven't heard if they're going to suspend him or not, but we'll see. Barkley has a high ankle sprain, and yep, that officially does it. So now we're going to move into college to basically end the show. We'll just go over a little bit of the top 25. We'll start with Oregon, Colorado real quick off the top of my head. Hey, shout out to Oregon, man. Oregon's a really good football team. They basically wanted to show the world, like, hey, Colorado doesn't have an offensive or defensive line, and we're going to prove it. And they proved it. I don't want to say they embarrassed Colorado, but they gave them a good old-fashioned ass whooping, honestly. 42-6 is not something to joke about. They beat the hell out of them. Yeah, we'll basically go over some scores to end it. Purdue lost again. Shocker. Horrible, man. Air Force ends up winning the cover for the bet. Shout out. Saturday, Notre Dame barely loses Ohio State. They didn't have enough guys on the field. I mean, that game was heartbreaking as a Notre Dame fan. You want to talk about Jets fan being broken? That might have broke me as a Notre Dame fan. Best team they've had in years. It's right there for them to steal, and they lose in the last second. I mean, I just don't know if maybe Notre Dame can't do it, man. Maybe they just can't do it. I don't know. It's just between them and Purdue, my heart's breaking already this football season. I think Notre Dame still has a good team and still has a good chance, but man, they really needed that game to put a statement on. Oklahoma beat Cincinnati. They played pretty decently well. Florida State beats Clemson in overtime. Clemson misses a 27-yard field goal to basically win the game. That was shocking. So due to that, it goes to overtime. Florida State ends up winning. That is awesome for them. That was a really awesome game to watch. Texas A&M beats Auburn. Michigan handles Rutgers 31-7. Miami handles Temple 41-7. Absolute blowout. Alabama beats Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss 24-10. That was just a weird game. That was a football game. It was really low scoring. It was a little dirty and grimy, and then it ended up pulling away late. Kansas beats BYU 38-27. Maryland blows out Michigan State. West Virginia beats Texas Tech by 7. Like I said, we just talked about Colorado, Oregon. Duke handled UConn 41-7. Absolute blowout. Utah barely beats UCLA 14-7. That was a good old battle. Tennessee beats UTSA 45-14. LSU beats Arkansas 34-31. That was a really, really close game. Arkansas played a lot better than I think a lot of people expected. LSU was 14-point favorites. Florida beats Charlotte 22-7. Washington State beats Oregon State 38-35. That was an awesome game to watch as well. Texas blows out Baylor. Georgia destroys UAB. Penn State beats Iowa State in the whiteout game 31-0. Iowa's probably going to be bumped out of the rankings after this game. The offense just isn't that good, honestly. UNC, it's good. It's not horrible as it's been in past years, but it's not as good as it could be. And North Carolina beats Pitt 41-24. Washington beats Cal 59-32, and USC handles business 42-28. Yeah, that does it for basically week 4 of college, week 3 in the NFL. I'll go through college real quick. Basically, at the end of the show, we'll go through college real quick. We'll go through NFL, and then we'll go through my big games I'm looking for the week, some of the ranked games. Betting wise, NFL kind of Monday night kind of saved it. I think I had an average month. I think I had a really good college weekend, average NFL weekend. There's just some games that's just I have new about the Tennessee Titans, new evaluation of a team. I know what to expect, and there's some other teams that I just know to do a little bit better with. Next week some games I'm excited for. Oregon State versus Utah. It's gonna be a fun little ranked matchup. Notre Dame Duke's gonna be a good game. I'm excited to watch that. Notre Dame went from 9 to 11. They ended up too far. Penn State is going to take on Northwestern. That's just another ranked matchup. USC Colorado. Colorado drops out of the rankings. That was shocking. I think potentially USC is going to do a similar thing to what Oregon did, but just because it's USC, I'm going to take the Colorado spread and like it a little bit more this game, just because USC is known for choking away some games. Kentucky's favored over Florida which I'm excited about. Kentucky's not ranked. Florida is ranked. Kentucky at home. I'm excited to watch that. Georgia will take on Auburn. Michigan will take on Nebraska, and I think they should be able to handle them. Texas, Kansas, that's going to be an interesting, fun game to watch. Ole Miss, LSU is going to be an potentially interesting watch. Tennessee, South Carolina might be fun. Alabama takes on Mississippi State. Fresno State takes on Nevada. So Fresno State makes the top 25. You'll basically see, I'm going to write a top 25 article basically as soon as we're done recording here. Yeah, that about does it. There's not as many exciting games. But now that we're going into week 5, I mean, we're basically, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks away from strictly like all conference games, and that's when it gets really exciting because then you get the Alabama versus Tennessee's, Alabama, Georgia, stuff like that. I can't wait. That's going to be really, really fun. Now to end it, for next week, the big games. Packers take on the Lions on Thursday night. I think that'll be good. There's an international game between Jacksonville and Falcons. I am excited to watch the Colts-Rams as a fan. Past that, Saints-Bucks will be a good division battle. Commanders-Eagles will be a good division battle. Bills-Dolphins might be the game of the 1 o'clock hour. That's going to be a really awesome watch. Ravens-Browns is up there as well. That's going to be a really awesome watch. And then past that, I mean, Chiefs-Jets might be okay. But, yeah, there's not really – a lot of the more exciting games are at the 1 o'clock. It's a little bit stale at the 4 o'clocks. Like Chargers-Raiders, Patriots-Cowboys, 49ers-Cardinals. I mean, they won't be bad, but they aren't the biggest of games. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. I mean, I'm Juice Man. I'll come back Thursday, basically break down. Like I said, I didn't win Pickem, so there's not too much to go over. I came in the middle of the pack, so we'll break it down more on Thursday. But yeah, basically, you'll see me on Thursday to break down Pickem, do picks for week 4, and then go over the rest of my bets for the college and NFL weekend. I mean, it's been really fun, man. We're finally starting to hit our stride a little bit. Love it, man. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for all the support. Like I said, Thursday you'll get that. Friday I'll be Captain by a Hook with Red Beard again to go over some more of my bets. But shout out Stay Down Sports. If you want some to see any of our written work that we're doing on there, feel free to check it out. I won't say there's a little bit different content from here, but the only thing that crosses over the most is my betting. I'll put everything I say on here. I basically give out on there. So that's. If you want to check that out, there's there. If you want more written work about some of the stuff going on in the sports world, you can check it out there as well. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. I'll see basically everybody on Thursday for our picks episode, baby.